explanação do seu currículo. Eu destaco que o professor Wolfgang, ele possui doutorado em Física na Universidade de Gießen, na Alemanha, e também tem sido responsável pela implantação de cursos virtuais na Universidade de Michigan, que nos reportes consta como a 12ª universidade em ranking no mundo. Também tem sido responsável pelo plano de implantação e transição para energias renováveis na Universidade de Michigan, integrando também essas questões ao ensino e pesquisa da universidade. Então, agradecemos a presença do professor Wolfgang e tenho a palavra. Obrigada, professor.
So I have to start by confessing that I will not be able to speak in Portuguese. I've been to Brazil about 10 times, but the only words I ever pick up are things like caipirinha. So I also learned that only administrators wear ties here. So I want to talk to you as one scientist to another. So let me just... Yesterday I talked with Professor Luiz, and I saw that our university and our projects have a lot in common with your university and your projects. And so some of it, what I want to say here, is not new to you at all, because you're doing exactly the same things. So let me start with where I'm from. So this is actually the building that I work in. Up there in this corner, that's my office. And this is what Michigan State University looks like. And I will zoom out just a little bit to show you our main campus. I guess I can use this thing. So this is the main campus buildings. There are about 500 buildings on our campus. 110 large buildings that are used for instruction. And so this makes for a city of about 60,000 people. And on the weekends, when we have football games in this stadium, you add another 70,000. And then if you zoom out further, this shows you our entire campus, which is about a rectangle of 21 square kilometers in size. And you can see we have, golf courses here and a lot of farmland, which we can use for agricultural research, but also for the projects that I will talk about in a few minutes. So if you zoom out further, you can see where Michigan State University is located in Lansing, Michigan, which is recognizable on the map because of all the water around us. And, Campinas is down there. So we have a little over 50,000 students from 141 last count countries around the world. Also many from Brazil, even though in the winter it's kind of hard for Brazilians because it's very cold. We have 5,700 faculty and another 7,200 support staff. We were founded in 1855, and our annual budget is $2.8 billion. So let me talk a little bit about MSU's energy infrastructure. We are a city that can exist completely by ourselves, including our electricity and heating demands. So this power plant that I show over there provides most of our electricity on campus. We have operated our own microgrid since 1894, and we do cogeneration. In the winter we need a lot of heat, and we have over 30 kilometers of tunnels under our campus with steam pipes, and we produce the steam in this plant, run it through steam generators to make electricity, and then distribute the steam everywhere on campus to heat the buildings. So this is cogeneration and has very high efficiency, above 60%. So this means also significant cost savings relative to buying electricity off the grid. And we have a historic record of reliability. I've been at Michigan State University for 31 years, and we have never had a power outage. We consume about 6 petajoules of energy per year, which is about as much as 50,000 households in our state. Of course, we all agree carbon emissions need to be reduced, and of course, funds are always tight here and also with us, and we need to make sure that we spend them wisely and reduce energy expenses. So in 2012, a few of us got together and made this energy transition plan with fixed goals on how much renewable energy we would want to have on campus and how much reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. So in 2020, the next goal would be 45% reduction. I will show you in a couple of minutes that we have already surpassed this goal. So this is a sort of a list of projects that we're doing, and I can't cover them all because I only have 30 minutes. So we have a recycling and reuse store, so things that are not needed in the offices anymore, we put up for sale to the public at very, very low prices, but that's better than throwing it out. We have an organic waste composting facility to make topsoil for gardeners. We use geothermal energy in our nursing building. We have an anaerobic digester. I'll talk more about that, and also the solar arrays. Very important is demand reduction. So Professor Luiz talked about that too. We have energy conservation measures. Typically we invest around 5 million, but up to 10 million per year in energy conservation measures on our campus. And I approve these funds for any project that can show a return of investment of 5 years or less. So, you know, if the energy savings in the next 5 years are greater than the money that's needed to invest, I approve any project. No question asked. So we participate in something called the Better Building Challenge, which is a U.S. Department of Energy competition. And the buildings that we enter typically save 30 to 35% of their overall energy after retrofits. We also participate in a data center challenge. We built a new $40 million central data centers where we had 70 data centers all across campus in different faculties, and we moved them all in there. And that's actually very significant energy savings because of the higher efficiency cooling that you can apply there. And it saves about 10,000 megawatt hours of energy per year. And later I will show you our solar arrays. They produce about on that order of magnitude. So just by merging all the data centers into one, we have the greenest energy, which is the energy that you don't use. And then this is a picture from our Spartan treasure hunts, where we take administrators and people from our infrastructure division that are experts in air conditioning and heating and electricity and so on, and let them meet for a weekend with the occupants of a building, the faculty, the staff, very important also the students. And for a weekend in each building we have discussions on what could be plans, especially since the occupants of the building know what's going on in the building, on how to improve the energy efficiency. So they have been very successful. This is my only slide on transportation, but we're trying to also have a sustainability concept in transportation. We find that many of our faculty and staff and students use their cars during the day to drive around campus. So we gave them free bus service. We have these e-scooters that you can use. Professor Luiz also showed that is here. And we also have shared cars that people can use. Zipcar is one example. This is a self-driving autonomous car that our faculty have developed. And right now we're working on a project to make our buses self-driving. And, you know, you can say, okay, that eliminates the job of the bus driver. For now, that's not true, but what it does is it improves the safety and security of the people that ride these. This is a map of our campus with all the connected infrastructure that we have installed. So basically every intersection now has cameras on it that lets us monitor how many pedestrians are in there, bicyclists, cars, and so on. And the intersections also have roadside units installed that communicate the status of the intersection to future self-driving cars on our campus. This is our dormitory food system. I just took these pictures in one cafeteria. We feed about 30,000 meals to people every day. It's one of the largest cafeteria systems in the USA. And then the question is, what happens to, this is my wife, by the way, I used her as a model. I like to eat there too, and so once in a while she and I eat there, and I thought she should be in my talk too. So what happens to these 35,000 trays that you put into this conveyor and then they're gone? But they have the food scraps and napkins and so on. And so if I flip this around, I can let you see behind the screen where people sort this and then deposit the food scraps orderly. This is hardly visible, but there's a pulper that takes all the food scraps and just chops them in very small pieces. And then we collect these. And the same happens in food preparation. So this is the salad station. And, you know, you cut off a lot of things from the vegetables and they get all thrown in there. And with these yellow-lidded garbage cans, we transport them. So if one garbage truck is worth about 10 tons of food waste, this is how much food waste this one cafeteria that I just showed you produces per year. And so where does that go? And this is another picture of our campus. I showed you that before. And in the farm sector, let me highlight this particular area and zoom in on it. And what you see here is, this is our composting facility. This is a dairy cattle station. And this is the anaerobic digester facility that was newly constructed. So this is the dairy cattle. Obviously, you can see they eat the corn and then they also let stuff go out their other end. And we collect that, and together with the food scraps, we put this in here. So the system of this anaerobic digester is, there's a hole in the ground here that feeds into this fermenter, which is basically reproducing the conditions inside a cow's stomach. It has about a temperature of 39 degrees, and air is kept out. And the microbes in the cow dung use the food to eat. And what they produce is methane. And so this biogas is what we collect and then process in this biogas engine and make electricity. So this is about a 1/3 to 1/2 megawatt engine that is continuously running. And so we make electricity out of the food scraps. So this can be easily replicated anywhere. And the digestate, the stuff that's left behind, is stored in this tank. And in the fall, when we need to fertilize the fields, this is spread as organic fertilizer on the fields. So it's a win-win-win. We have less waste in the landfill, we have free electricity, and we have free fertilizer. Let me talk about solar. So this is a world map of the solar radiation. And you can see this is about 165 watt per square meter to 240 watt per square meter. And we are here. We are here in East Lansing. And Campinas is a little better, but not incredibly much better, right? You think Brazil should be much more sunny than where I'm from. But on average, you actually only have maybe 5 to 7% more solar radiation than we do. So solar panels also work for us, not just for you. They work anywhere in the world, really. Maybe in northern Russia, not. This is what solar costs in the US per watt. And you can see year by year from 2010 to 2017, the prices have fallen incredibly. So this is for residential installation rooftop. This is commercial and then utility scale. And you can see right now the price is roughly $1 US per watt. So if you make a 1 megawatt installation, it costs $1 million. So knowing that, we had our energy transition plan in 2010 that we kicked off. It was put into action in 2012. We built this anaerobic digester in 2013. And then in 2014, we started planning of our solar array. And it took really all the way to the end of 2017 to complete it. There was lots of bureaucratic hurdles, like, for example, tax questions. But finally, we got it done. And, you know, they say this Chinese wall is visible from space. Our solar array is also visible from space. So this is a satellite picture. And you can see the solar arrays there. This is one part of the solar array. My car is parked under there. It's over 4 meters off the ground, so the biggest trucks and buses can also drive under there. We have covered 5,000 parking spots. The total area is 180,000 square meters. We use 40,000 solar panels. They're pretty much exactly the same solar panels that I saw here on campus. They have an output of about 300 watt peak. And so you multiply this with 300, you get 13.4 megawatt DC peak power. And after the inverters, we get about 10.5 megawatt AC peak power out. So this makes for 15,000 megawatt hours per year of solar energy. And in Michigan, this is enough electricity for 1,800 households year round. So since these giant solar arrays are big sails that the wind can catch, we have to make sure that they are anchored properly. So we have these concrete bases here that are 3 meters wide and 60 centimeters high. And that's not enough. And so we anchor them underground. They drilled 8.5 meters down and put steel rebars down to keep them from blowing away in the wind. So this is what this looks like, a part of the array, a very small, this is about 5% of the array. Overall, it produces 18% of MSU's peak power demand, and that's, since the sun doesn't shine at night, but we still draw electricity at night, it's only 5% of MSU's annual total energy. This is the largest solar carport array in the US, and I haven't found anywhere in the world where there would be a larger one. So for all practical purposes, this is a world record. At night, we have LED lights under there, and they are coupled to motion detectors. So they output at 3 volt when nobody's around, but as you walk closer to them, they brighten up to 6 volt. And this effect is not really visible. It's very smooth, and it just is always very bright around you. This is for the safety of our students and staff. So this is an annual chart for last year, hour by hour, how much electricity our university consumed. And you know, it goes up during the daytime and down during the night. And you can see it never goes down below sort of 27 megawatts. And during the daytime it peaks. In our summer, in June, July, It's the hottest, so we have the highest electricity demand just from air conditioning. Because you may think of Michigan as cold, but in the summer we reach temperatures of 35 to 40 degrees. So it gets pretty warm there too, we need air conditioning. Now, for comparison, I show you what the solar array puts out, which is this on the same scale. So you can see it doesn't always reach the full 10.5 megawatt, only on very nice sunny days it does that. And of course this is our winter where the production is really low. But this production is subtracted from the overall demand of electricity, right? And so I can do this, of course. And this is what's called peak shaving. You see the largest peaks effectively always get cut off because when we have the highest air conditioning need, we also have the highest output of the solar array. And from this graph, I calculated that we could have a 3 times bigger solar array and it would be even much more useful. So that's the next plan. So we just proposed a 20 megawatt array, so twice as big as the one that we already have, but this time mounted on the ground. And this is the campus part that has all of our farms. And in this corner, there's about 40 hectares, 100 acres, that we need for 20 megawatt. So this is just on meadows where usually sheep graze. And we can actually make dual use of this. So this will be a ground mount array about this far off the ground, and potentially with tracking so that it follows the path of the sun in the sky during the day. And we can make that as a dual use facility. So there are sheep already grazing on those meadows, and those sheep can graze under the array and serve 2 purposes. One is, of course, the sheep get food. The other is we don't have to spend any money on maintaining the vegetation by mowing under there. And then we also have research into pollinators, bees and butterflies and so on. And so part of this land under the array will simply be converted to a wildflower habitat for the pollinators. Oops, that's the wrong direction. So I could show you, remember our goal was a 45% reduction in carbon dioxide emission by 2020. So this is where we were in 2006. And the university has grown significantly since then by adding about 10,000 square meters of building space each year to the university. But despite all of that, we have reduced our carbon emissions between 2006 and 2016 by a very significant amount, from almost, 580,000 tons per year down to a little over 330,000 tons per year. And that was accomplished simply by a fuel switch. Until 2006, we had only been burning coal in our power plant, and then we retrofitted our burners so that we could use natural gas. And over a 10-year interval, we completely went out of coal, and in March 2016, we stopped burning coal forever. We actually destroyed the infrastructure that's used for coal, so our hands are tied. We can never use coal again. But this was just a great win in terms of carbon emissions. So we saved, 1/3 of our carbon emissions just from that. This digester that I showed you had this effect in our reduction of emissions. The carport solar array, another. We're presently building a new power plant that uses more efficient engines and prevents the overproduction of steam. And that has actually a bigger effect than the solar carport and the digester combined. And the new 20 megawatt solar array will be completed at the end of 2021, or maybe in the middle of 2021. So that will also have a very significant lowering effect. And so you can see overall, by 2020, we will have surpassed our goal because we have eliminated over half of our emissions. And then by 2021, we have almost eliminated 2/3 of our carbon emissions. We have to, of course, the further down you get here, the harder it gets, but we will eventually get there. So I try to give you a feeling for how many trees this is equivalent to. You know, when you plant a tree, it sucks carbon dioxide out of the air, right? And so if you plant a tree and don't touch it anymore, it's about 1,000 pounds of carbon dioxide that are sequestered during the tree's lifetime. And if you just have a forest, there's about 700 trees per acre. So this is a forest that's on our campus. It's about 78 acres, so 320,000 square meters. It contains about 55,000 trees. So the reduction in our emissions is equivalent to planting 14 of these forests each year. So it's equivalent to about 800,000 trees each year that we would have to plant if we wouldn't have engaged in all these emissions reductions. Perhaps more important than trees is money. So this is actually my last slide, but it's maybe the most important one. So since fiscal year 2014 that I've been working on these projects, we've kept track of how much money we have to spend to purchase our fuel for the campus, the fossil fuel. And you can see we spent almost 35 million there. And now in this year, it's down to 23.1 million. So this is a very significant savings of over $10 million as a result of all of our energy efficiency efforts. So this is 34% cost reduction. Now, the new solar array will be even a much stronger cost reduction because with the falling prices of solar PV, we can get a price of less than $50 per megawatt hour, guaranteed for the next 25 years. Presently, it costs us $82 per megawatt hour to self-generate electricity from these fossil fuels. So if you integrate that over the next 25 years with normal assumptions of inflation, you get a savings of $57 million in our energy budget, integrated over those 25 years. So more than $2 million per year net savings by doing the right thing. And I can't stress that enough, that sustainability should not be achieved by just throwing money at something and hoping you get, savings in carbon dioxide emission. That's my timer reminding me that I have only 2 minutes left. But true sustainability really needs to also save money. So saving money while saving the planet, that's the true sustainability that all of us should strive for. This is a picture of 1/4 of our solar array on our largest parking lot. Here's my contact info. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your attention.